You made it to Friday. Cannadelic podcast. The FDA issuing its first warning letters targeting Delta 8 THC products. Says they're being illegally marketed. Where did this Delta 8 stuff come from in the first place? What's up, folks? Happy Friday. Glad you all made it to the end of the week. I'm excited. Headed down to Miami today. You can meet with some people, some peeps, do some things, take care of some stuff. But first, we got to talk about the news. We got to talk about what's going on in the world of cannabis and psychedelics. It seems that the FDA, the Food and Drug Administration, has issued its first warning letters that are directly targeting Delta 8 THC products. We've seen this happen with CBD products that were making false health claims, and now we are seeing it with Delta 8 products that they say are being illegally marketed. So, the FDA, one of my favorite agencies, sent 5 warning letters to companies that are marketing products with the intoxicating compound and making what the agency says are unsanctioned claims about their therapeutic potential. The FDA previously released a notice cautioning consumers about such products, and it sent warning letters to certain CBD businesses over unauthorized marketing in the past. But this is the first time they've said it for Delta 8. What did they say exactly? US FDA's official Twitter page says, Delta 8 THC products may be dangerous to consumers. Delta 8 THC has psychoactive, intoxicating effects, and the FDA has received reports of adverse effects experienced by patients who have consumed these products. While Delta 9 THC is the most commonly known cannabinoid in marijuana, Delta 8 THC is typically synthesized from legal hemp and sold wherever you can buy CBD. So we all knew that this wasn't going to last forever. But where did this come from? What is this Delta 8, HHC, all these different cannabinoid isomers they're called? So what is the origin of these things? Well, when you can't get marijuana, Delta 9 THC, that's the THC that we all know and love, Delta 9 THC. When you can't get that because of its illegality, because the penalties for it are terrible, in some places really terrible, people who like to use cannabis are extremely inventive. So if you remember, in 2019, we passed the Farm Bill, which became the Farm Act, which legalized any kind of compound that comes from hemp. Delta 9 THC is still considered illegal as long as it is over 0.3% of the total volume of the product that you're selling. So Delta 8 THC, HHC, Delta 10 THC, these are all made from the CBD isolate that is extracted from the hemp plant. They don't take a cannabis plant and extract Delta 8 from it. They don't extract Delta 10 from it or HHC. What they extract is the CBD isolate. They extract the CBD, they turn it into an isolate, and then they run it through one of several different ways to do it, one of several different chemical reactions. And voila, you can turn CBD isolate into anything from Delta 9 THC, Delta 8, Delta 10, HHC. All of these things can be synthesized from CBD. So that's why, this is also why you see a lack of CBD products on the market now, because these products do have more psychoactive effects. So it's wrong to say that CBD doesn't have psychoactive effects, because it does, or else it wouldn't help with depression and things like that. But it doesn't have intoxicating effects. I really like that distinction, intoxicating effects. So Delta 8 THC definitely has intoxicating effects. HHC even more so. So how did we get to this point where these are being sold on a largely unregulated market? There are health claims being made about them, and so much so that the FDA has to issue a warning letter. Well, I mean, you can draw a straight line to prohibition. That's where we're coming from. Prohibition. I mean, you make this plant illegal that people were just harvesting and smoking, maybe squeezing the oil out of and making food out of it, and you made that illegal. So the legalities, I think our legal system has backfired on us somewhat, because these things are so complicated, and lawyers have made, I think, the legal system complicated on purpose so that they can charge a lot of money. I honestly think that's what it is. And there's always going to be some kind of a loophole when you make these laws. So this loophole is the Farm Bill protects anything under 0.3% Delta 9 THC. Doesn't mention Delta 8, doesn't mention HHC. So this stuff is kind of a free for all. The only thing they have to test for in this state anyway is any kind of potency. They don't even have to test for pesticides, and they just have to test for potency. So what's bound to happen? You have a legal market of cannabis. You have these isomers that are coming out, and the people that want to be in the legal market. It's not just the legality; it's the barriers to entry for the legal marijuana market that is leading to these products. So if your local smoke shop owner, I know at least 5 that would much rather be running a cannabis dispensary instead of a smoke shop. And don't forget, a smoke shop has to sell all these different SKUs, right? And all these different items. And that's a lot of stuff to keep track of, and different vendors and stuff, whereas having a dispensary can be a lot less retail intensive, right? So a lot of people got into that business because they could not open a cannabis dispensary because it's too expensive. They don't have the political connections. They don't have one of these pieces that doesn't let them compete with the big conglomerates. So the overregulation of medical marijuana plus the prohibition of recreational marijuana has definitely led, this is what puts these circumstances together, to these products being developed. And these products are not necessarily harmful in and of themselves. They have potential for harm. You eat, 200-300 milligrams of Delta 8, you're going to feel that. When people are giving them out like candy, that can be an issue. The other main point that the FDA is making against some of these companies is that the packaging appeals to children. It's kind of a weird subject with me, because I think we're all children, and those packages appeal to adults as well, not just to children. That's why they're doing it, or else they wouldn't be doing that. I mean, nobody really kind of looks at it from the marketer standpoint that we're marketing to the 10-year-old inside of you, not the actual 10-year-old. But these products are, made to look, especially these newer Delta 8 products. I mean, they are colorful as fuck on these packages and stuff. So that's another thing that is unregulated, is the marketing of these products, and how they can be marketed and to whom they can be marketed. I'm a big opponent of marketing anything to children under 12 years old, anything at all. That includes Disney. Sorry, I know my feed's going to get all fucked up if I go after Disney again, but I'm against marketing anything to children under 12 years old. When it comes to these products, I'm more concerned with, I don't know, brand infringement on other things. I just think it's lazy marketing. I really do. Why are you going to piggyback on Cheetos when you can start your own brand? That to me, I have an issue with. But make no mistake, this is where the these products come from. It comes from making certain things illegal, right? So we come up with other things that aren't illegal. It goes to the extreme as well. This doesn't just happen with THC. They make something like some sort of a narcotic illegal, and what do you have? You have kids going to drugstores and buying all the Sudafed and cough medicine and making little chem labs in their basements, and making stuff like GHB and and finding legal ways that they can get high, because there's something about the human condition that makes people want to do that. And there's nothing that the law is going to do to stop that isn't going to have some sort of ramifications. So sometimes those ramifications are, so, we make one thing illegal and we get something that's in the eyes of the reason why we're making that legal, right? Because it's supposed to be, it gets people high. It doesn't have any medical benefits. We have other products that are coming out that meet those same criteria that are considered legal. So it gets very, very, very gray. And please understand that these people that have switched over to Delta 8 and HHC, a lot, I would say the majority, want to be selling Delta 9. This isn't something that they want to do. They don't want to have to make Delta 8. They don't want to have to make HHC. I mean, it adds a diversity of products, but I don't see these types of products lasting once legalization takes hold, because you're seeing it right now. They just awarded a whole of a lot of licenses up in New York. And the way they awarded those licenses is they've given them to the hemp farmers. They've given cannabis licenses to the hemp farmers. So what do you think that they're going to be growing? Right. So while it's kind of leveled the playing field and allowed some of these companies to continue to exist, to get a kind of a foothold, to build their brand nationally before they can switch over to Delta 9 or regular THC, it's given them an opportunity to do that. You just need to be very careful with these products. I've always been a proponent of building your brand before you necessarily have your product out there. There's a lot of stuff you can do to build that brand. And when the laws here in Florida were highly restrictive for people to get into the industry, the marijuana industry, we saw a lot of people launch CBD brands in the hopes of, well, when it does become legal and I can afford a license, then I will change this CBD brand over to a regular cannabis brand, right? And we've seen that a lot, and you're seeing that in New York actually play out, right? The other interesting thing is now they allow for Delta 9 THC. You're seeing this. People are pushing the envelope. Remember, it has to be below 0.3% Delta 9 THC by volume. So what that means is if I have a 1 pound cookie, right? This is my best example because they make these 1 pound cookies, right? They're like this. I bought them at a farmer's market once and unfortunately ate one. I think it was at the end. It was at the end of the festival and they gave me 2 for the price of 1. I was like, God damn it. I only wanted 1 pound, not 2 pounds. It's going to add 6 pounds to my body somehow. I can eat a 1 pound cookie and it adds 5 pounds to my body. I don't know how that works. But if you have a 1 pound cookie, you can put, I think it's something like 124 milligrams of THC in there before you hit that 0.3% threshold. That means you can have a 100 milligram cookie, one cookie for sale. There's no cap on how much THC can be in it. It just has to be 3%. So keep expanding that. How about a dessert? How about a big bowl of ice cream? Can have 400, right? And the FDA also has not issued any kind of regulations regarding putting this stuff into food, right? So there's no regulations that are in place for adding CBD to food or adding this type of stuff to food as of yet. It's a really an interesting time. And if you don't stay kind of on top of some of these things, you can you can consume things that you might not necessarily want to consume. The good news is a lot of this stuff isn't deadly, right? And the effects are short lived. So it's not like you're going to eat Delta 8 or HHC or hit off the vape and go into like complete psychosis and that's it, you're done, right? You might feel a little weird. I know when I tried Delta 8, I've just felt a little weird. I'm like, this is interesting. I don't know. I mean, I feel it. I'm not sure if it's great or if it's, I don't know. But I mean, I tried it. Some vape. Sometimes I forget that I'm allergic to polyethylene glycol, which is in a lot of the um, nicotine vapes, and especially some of the uh, Delta 8 and stuff like that that you'll find at the smoke shops. I happen to be allergic to it, so I start feeling it in my face. But I'll once in a while I'll hit off a vape, like, oh man, totally forgot. So the effects, even if from an allergic reaction, are not the worst thing in the world. You'll be fine. It's not like fentanyl. You know what I'm saying? Again, fentanyl is another thing. It's another thing that was pushed on the market because because you have these prescriptions that are being developed and a whole kind of diversion that can happen from there because other things aren't available, right? So you get this whole kind of should we legalize drugs altogether kind of argument. I know Ryan Morales, who's running for Commissioner of Agriculture, is in support of legalization of drugs and education and rehabilitation as opposed to criminalization when it comes to drugs. And, one of the scarier things that I read was in this leaked opinion on Roe v. Wade. Man, Supreme Court Justice Alito says I'm paraphrasing, that this could lead to challenging other government overreach into our bodies, including legalizing drugs, taking away the government's authority to regulate what you put in your body. I was like, well, if I didn't disagree with this guy before, I super disagree with this guy now. We live in interesting times, and I do believe that is a slippery slope, and a good slippery slope. We should have autonomy over our bodies, and it strikes like almost fear into me that we have a Supreme Court justice that literally has said that we want less autonomy for people, not more autonomy for people. And that's a conservative viewpoint. I'm like, my libertarian side of my brain is exploding. So, I'm not a huge fan of the FDA. I do think you need some sort of regulation on products in general. These things, the reason we have regulations, they didn't come out of nowhere. The reason we have food regulations are because people get sick, right? And there's easy ways to profiteer and not care if people get sick. So there is some sort of regulation that is going to be needed. I'm still torn on this home grow issue. If we're allowing people to grow their own cannabis, well, let me put it this way. I've been given on so many, I can't even count how many occasions, cannabis from people that they grew themselves. Hey man, I grew this. I want you to try it. Hey man, I grew this. I want you to try it. I grew this. I grew this. And then they tell me like a whole story about what they grew. I would say 8 or 9 times out of 10, there's some kind of mold or something on it, or something that makes it taste like mothballs. I don't know what it is, but I stopped smoking it immediately. I don't, my body is just like, no, shouldn't do that. Once in a while, it's good. We have a couple of friends that are very, very good at it. But in large part, I've seen, I don't necessarily trust what people are able to do in their house. I'm also not the first person to want to dive into some food someone made in their kitchen that I don't know. I'm not a bake sale kind of guy either. Even though I know what goes on in commercial kitchens as well. I've worked in quite a few. I've just the thought of that. But even myself, I don't trust myself to grow the best cannabis or to make sure that it's even healthy cannabis and that I'm not smoking mold, you know? So there needs to be something to help people, to help protect people. I don't know exactly what that is, or else I would be spouting that or shouting it from the rooftops. But there does need to be some sort of regulation. The problem that I see with the agencies like the FDA is a revolving door that they have with food companies and drug companies. You'll see the CEO of, Pfizer will go over to the FDA and then then go back over to Pfizer, and they have this revolving door, mainly because there's, only a handful of people qualified to lead the FDA and Pfizer and, a big food company. These are short lists. So it's not inherently nefarious, but how can you avoid not regulating things to your former company's favor? I mean, how do you even avoid that? Even subconsciously, it would be difficult to avoid that. So, not the biggest fan of corruption, but I am a fan of some regulation. And we're going to have to see how all this stuff plays out. Right? Right. Discussions like this are commonplace at Cannadelic, Miami. The next one at FIU in July 9th and 10th. I'm super excited about it, as we have some people coming in that, especially when it comes to the topic of psychedelics, that are from Johns Hopkins and Birmingham, University of Alabama, Birmingham, that are the leaders in the psychedelic research field. And it's just going to be amazing to have them on a stage. And I'm just so excited to be at FIU and in a college environment, because it's always so inspiring, the youth, something that people that can make change for the future, they're inspiring to me. You know what else is inspiring? When I go like this lately, put my hand over my head, I'm like, oh man, what is that? Usually I'm like, ooh. But now I'm like, oh. Now I want to be like, oh, put my fingers on the hair and go. And it smells awesome. You know why? Because I'm using this dank soap deodorant. I know this sounds like a commercial because I made it sound like a commercial, but I swear, this dank soap deodorant is phenomenal. It smells so good. It's got none of that aluminum in it that makes that people are like, oh, it's going to give you Alzheimer's disease if you use deodorant with aluminum. But the problem is the other deodorants that don't have aluminum in them don't work. So what the hell am I supposed to do? Finally, Dank Soap, who we met at the Pennsylvania Cannabis Festival, they came down to Cannadelic. Dank Soap not only smells awesome, but it lasts a really long time, and it doesn't have all those nasty chemicals in them. I was actually surprised that they last as long as they do, and they work and they smell so good. So now every time, literally, I'll catch myself during the day, like I'll be stretching, I'm like, oh, that's good. Like a day later. So go get yourself some Dank Soap. They also make actual soap, body butter, all sorts of good stuff, lotions, and it all smells real good. Terpene infused. This one's rose apple. This one's got baking soda, coconut oil, cocoa butter, arrowroot powder, beeswax, hemp seed oil, vitamin E, mango butter, white kaolin, I don't know what that is, clay, white kaolin clay, and fragrance. This one's rose apple. The one I like is the green crack. Ironically, do not like the strain green crack at all. Gives me anxiety. This relaxes me. Go figure. It's a strange, wacky world. What's up, Legit Hemp, T.I., Richie, Carrie, Froggy, Cass, Chuck, Martha, John. Just running down our list here. Chris, Stizzy, Sherry, Jamie, Marvin. Hope you guys have a fantastic weekend. We are going to head down to Miami and do some scenes of some peoples taking care of some business. So I will see you next week. Peace out.